and welcome to the pod. I'm your host, Grace, and with us we have Michelle, who's going to teach us all about how to become a life design coach. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, just tell me, as you said, it's kind of a bit of a made-up title, but what does that mean? What do you do?
What does a life design coach do? So I would say I kind of wear two hats. So one side is like health and embodiment coaching, and the other side is interior design. So my background is in interior design. So I really kind of live two dual worlds, if you like. And Interior Self, which is my business, is bringing my two worlds together. And I've called myself a life design coach because I just feel like there's not really something out there that is kind of that matches what I do. I feel like what I do is quite unique, bringing kind of my worlds together. And right now I work one-to-one with women. I'm a public speaker. I do talks. So that's one side. And then the other element is interior design, where I work in the corporate workplace sector for a leading global interiors and architecture practice in London.
Love. Two big jobs.
Yes.
So we'll get all into that. But first of all, just tell me what you wanted to be when you were growing up.
What did I want to be when I was growing up? So I remember from a very young age, I was always interested in design. And I found that because I rearranged my room every single day almost. And so I was always interested in spaces and how spaces feel. But I also experienced becoming a woman when I was still a girl quite young. So I don't know if this is too much information, but I got my period when I was 9 years old. I got really bad cystic acne age 11. And went on the pill, I think maybe 11 or 12. And so I was thrown into the world of health also from a very young age. And so with this kind of mission to clear my skin, I worked with kind of skin specialists, naturopaths, holistic health practitioners, doctors, everything, to kind of get on top of these kind of the heavy periods and the acne and all the symptoms I was experiencing from a young age. And so I was always like, okay, do I want to be a designer or something in the creative sector? And I was like, if that fails and I can't get into uni, then I'll become a skin specialist or somebody that works within health that can help people to heal their acne. I don't know if you've ever experienced acne, but the thing when you have acne for a really prolonged period of time, it really affects your self-worth. And I guess it kind of gave me depression. And all throughout my teenage years, it wasn't a fun time being me. And I guess I always wanted to be somebody else. It was back in the time before social media. That kind of shows my age. But so I used to look at magazines, and I used to be like, oh, I want her face, and I want her legs, and I want her hair. And it was almost like I'd cut out, these and kind of make a collage of the woman or the girl that I wanted to be, just because I truly hated myself so much. So that's kind of, I guess, my background on kind of the dual path. As I went older, I did pursue a career in interior design. So that was kind of part one, I guess. So I studied interior architecture in Melbourne, and then got a job quite straight away and started working in workplace design for a number of years. And then I moved to London when I was 27, just because I thought there was more opportunities. My mum is English. I've got a British passport.
Oh, nice.
So I thought I'd come over here and then just start myself over as Michelle 2.0.
I love that.
So, yeah, that was almost 14 years ago.
So when you sort of went into the interior design, what was the very first steps into it? Like, how did you initially get into it?
So to start off with, it's quite hard to get, it's quite a competitive market to get in. So in Melbourne, what I did actually is when I finished school, before I even got into interior design, I did an additional year of study, which was called Year 13. I don't know how it relates to in the UK, but Year 13 is the year after you do your final years at school. And it was just art, design, photography, kind of you're building your portfolio to, I guess, come up with something that, because maybe in high school, you might not have enough time to kind of focus on creative projects, or they're probably not good enough to get into uni.
Right.
So I did this, and I was going to go either into Bachelor of Design or interior design. My parents convinced me to do interior design because they're like, you won't get a job in graphic design, like it's too competitive. So I went into, I was lucky, I got a job at a kind of quite a good design practice. I never grew up thinking I want to be a workplace designer. Like that sounds like the most boring project or job in the world. But actually what's really nice about workplace design is that you do everything. So it's not just desks, it's not just meeting rooms. Particularly when you work on larger projects, it's everything from meeting spaces to restaurants to wellness spaces. Particularly in the world today, like Google definitely has like everybody wanted to look like Google, and they wanted to have like the amenities that they had. So even law firms, banks, all the companies that you'd think are maybe quite boring or dull to work with, they're trying to attract the best talent. So actually right now it's a really great time to be a workplace designer, because all these companies are really wanting to kind of do exemplar projects, and they want the best talent to come to work for them. So it is a great industry to be in, but it's very cutthroat.
Yeah.
It's very long hours. It's often a 24-hour job, in the sense that like your mind doesn't turn off from design.
Really?
So like this morning even I woke up thinking about, I don't know, like some presentation that I needed to finish literally as soon as I, opened my eyes. But it is quite rewarding. So when you walk through a space that you've designed and you see a happy client, it definitely is a great space to be in. But yeah, there's always pros and cons to each side of
100%.
business, I guess.
I think it's interesting, like you said, that everyone with their office space is trying to like want to up each other. Everyone wants nice offices now. Like you can't really have just crappy old dull ones. It's not the same.
That's it. No.
And you do get such a range of it. And so that's so nice that you were creative and you felt like you weren't sure which way you were going to go, but you kind of just landed in the corporate design world. Is it very different from, doing it in Australia to doing it here?
Without insulting British people,
You may speak freely.
when I first moved to London, I feel like I had to dumb down the design, because in the UK at the time, and it's changed, the UK just wanted blue carpet everywhere and like just very corporate. Whereas now, thankfully, it's changed and, things are much more progressive. But I just think in terms of design, it's usually kind of Asia, Singapore, Australia, kind of Pacific area, a bit more ahead, I'd say, in terms of design. Other countries are catching up. So I think it's much more aligned now. But when I first moved over, it was challenging to push the boundaries and even to get plants in the office.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're everywhere now.
They're everywhere now.
And there's like companies specifically that do that.
Yeah.
When you're designing, are you literally they're giving you like, this is what they want, and then you like, draw it or design it or however you bring it together and then pitch it back to them? Them ideas are coming from your head.
Yeah, so I think we would meet with the client. They would give us a brief on, how many staff they've got, where the building is. Sometimes we do kind of test fits for different buildings. We do building searches. And then based on the research and, on the company and what we've heard, we'll do a lot of engagement with the client, whether that be individuals or a board or steerco, and the people using the space. So we'll get insight from them to kind of really understand, to get under their skin, to get into the DNA of who the company is. So when I designed Spotify's headquarters in London, I literally sat in their kitchen space for I think like a few weeks, just to like listen to the conversations and to really kind of get a feeling for, okay, what is the space that that we should be designing for them. And that was a great project that we finished actually in 2020, just before COVID hit, just before I had my breakdown, which maybe I'll lead into in a minute.
Of course.
It wasn't because of Spotify. But that was a great project where we really kind of embedded ourselves in there. And the project was so successful was because we really understood like what the client wanted, what they needed. So it wasn't a design that we did that we thought was good for us. Like we don't have a house style. We don't do anything like that. It's more just we will design everything bespoke for the client, because it's boring. You don't want to do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
that's really cool that you like sat in the office and had a listen and all that. You wouldn't think that much research would go into it.
Yeah.
But I guess the success of it
Absolutely.
really shows how that works.
Yeah.
Was that one of your favorite projects?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was one of my favorite projects. I think just because it's so diverse in terms of what the space offered.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just a workspace. When you went in through their front door, it's kind of, you walk into a very immersive space with its own cafe and bar area. We had a pop-up stage where you're welcomed by somebody maybe doing a DJ set or playing like a live, acoustic set. And then you go through there and you're in the Spotify main hall. So it's like a performance venue for 200 to 300 people. Got a bar, there's a market cafe. We had like a production suite. So we had podcast studios, recording studios, like listening rooms. We had VIP artist spaces. And when we're designing the green rooms, I was like, what would Beyonce want in this space?
Nice.
Cheeks, we snuck in a few other kind of maybe controversial mirrored tables into the space. And then we had that workspace floors as well. So It won a couple of awards as well. So super proud of the space. And then we went on to design other Spotify spaces as well. So yeah, definitely kind of one of very challenging because they were in like a listed building. But definitely one of the most rewarding projects I think I worked on, and very unique for the type of office space that it is.
I love that. It sounds like so much fun. Like, and that's something that's going to be seen and used by so many people.
Yeah,
and be around for a long time. Like Spotify's not going anywhere. So
that's right. Yeah.
So COVID hit. What happened?
So COVID hit, and a lot of people were furloughed, or as we know, we all went into lockdown, and I was actually working for Spotify in Berlin, but
doing their interior design.
Their Berlin office. And I found myself working 100-hour weeks. And it wasn't just on Spotify, there's other projects, but just by nature, it's just like as soon as when you're in the office, you're working as a team, and then all of a sudden you're at home, and I live alone. So there wasn't kind of anybody to be like, hey, you need to stop working.
Yeah.
And I found myself doing 100-hour weeks for a couple of weeks, and I was actually doing the maths. I was like, is that even possible?
That's wild.
But I was sleeping like 2 or 3 hours a night, getting up, working, and as you can imagine, I kind of burnt out.
Yeah.
I found myself crying every day, and I'm like, there has to be more to life than this. And I also believe that the body whispers until it screams, and for me, my scream was my hair falling out in handfuls. So it was a little bit to start off with. Like I noticed like a little bit of my hair in the shower kind of coming out. Like I used to have like really long hair, and my hair was always my pride and joy. I always used to get so many comments on how amazing my hair was. And my hair started to fall out, and I was just like, whoa, okay, like something's not right here. I need to really start to, maybe look at something differently.
Yeah, it's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like many of us, when we've got a problem, we go to the doctor. Went to the doctor, they told me it was in my head. They told me my hair's fine, my bloods are normal, and I felt anything but normal. And so it was that moment I was just like, okay, I need to take my health into my own hands and learn and do this myself, because if the doctors can't help me, then like I know that I don't feel right. And so where I work was super supportive. Like they kind of gave me some time off and like I was able to, I guess, kind of like rebuild my health, but my hair was still falling out. And so I just started to like just dive into functional medicine, health coaching, worked with healers, because it's never usually just one thing. So obviously it was stress, but then there's always a multitude of other things that kind of link to our health issues. And so I started to feel better. My hair started to grow back. And then I just was just so turned on by like this, I don't know, new awakening, if you like. Started to mistrust everything that was going on in the world right now. Like I think a lot of people did during COVID, like what?
Yeah.
I didn't trust the government, didn't trust anyone. And so I'm like, I'm going to just look after my own health, because the only person you can really trust is yourself. So just because I'm a sucker for like doing more, I studied at the College of Naturopathic Medicine, and I retrained as a health coach whilst working full time.
Wow.
Studying part time. So again,
That's a lot.
I know. I was just like,
when you're already burnt out as well, that's a tough decision to make.
Give me more. But it just meant sacrificing, social activities. Got up at 4:30 in the morning every day, studied before work. And finished my health coaching qualification maybe like 2.5 years ago now. And then launched my business, Interior Self. And so, for a while I was just like, maybe I have to choose between being an interior designer and being a health coach. And then I realized like maybe I don't need to choose, because I've been in the design industry now for 17 years, and none of that is kind of wasted, because I still love design. And I fully believe though that our health is so influenced by our spaces that we inhabit. And so I worked on creating what I call a framework for living to help women to redesign their life from the inside out.
Love.
So that's kind of how Interior Self was born. And I guess I can go into that a little bit more detail as well.
Yeah, do it. For sure. Go for it.
So Interior Self was born, I guess, based off my love of interior design, but also the evolution of myself.
Yeah.
So again, by now it's Michelle, I don't even know, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0. I don't know what version I'm on now. We're ever evolving.
Yeah. Getting better every time.
I know. That's right. Like a fine wine. And I just think that, I wanted to kind of create like healing isn't linear. Like life isn't linear. You know, it's like this. And through working myself with other coaches, I just learned so much about, I was just doing too much. It's just like, you know, when you've got a symptom and you get those Instagram ads and you're like, oh, I'm going to buy that supplement. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And what I learned to help myself heal was just to really slow down, simplify everything that I'm doing and literally go back to the basics, because I just think that we can be so distracted by, oh, shiny new product, oh, new LED face mask, oh, new, all this stuff. But actually, are we drinking enough water? Are we walking enough? Are we moving our body? You know, are we eating whole foods? So the framework for living that I created is kind of like based on these principles. So the 5 pillars of interior self, which is the framework for living, I'll list them out maybe and then I can talk a little bit more detail about them. So the first pillar is interior. Second pillar is self. And then the subsequent pillars from that are sanctuary, health, and expression.
And it's something you've created.
That's something I've created.
Yeah.
So I feel like I should trademark them.
Yeah,
so
you should.
No one else pinch them. So interior is obviously about our physical environment, but it's not like I want to come into people's homes and design people's homes. I want to empower people to be able to create a space that they love and that is good for their nervous system. So, you know, when you're at home and particularly when you come back from a holiday and, you know, when there's just everywhere, or you open a cupboard and just falls out.
Yes.
And so it's just clutter, I like to call visual noise. So it's like, how can you minimize the clutter? How do you detox your space? So whether that be taking away like the toxic cleaning products, the toxic scented candles, all the stuff that we have in our space that can be unhealthy for us. This can also include people, which is a bit controversial because, you know, I guess you can't choose your family, but sometimes, you know, we're surrounding ourselves. They say that you are the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So choose those people wisely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gets you thinking, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, so I guess that's kind of like the interior pillar. The next pillar is self. And so that's really about your values, what's your mission, why am I here? It's really just tuning into your values, your why. And sometimes our why isn't our job. Like sometimes we might just be working a job just to, you know, pay the bills, whatever that is. But if it's, you know, not draining the life out of you, maybe your kind of sense of self is in your relationship. Maybe you're a mother, maybe it's your family, maybe it's, I don't know, ceramics or a hobby that you may do. So self is really kind of about fulfilling your life purpose. I don't know if you've ever heard of your ikigai. Have you heard of that?
Not, sorry.
So your ikigai is essentially a Venn diagram that brings together what you're good at, what the world needs, what you love doing, and what you can be paid for.
Okay.
So you can just kind of fill in the circles on like a little page, and you can just start to kind of fill in those words, like brain dump. And what you might notice is that things start to overlap. So I noticed, for example, that for me, design and health kept coming up, but in different areas. So it might just give you a clue of kind of what your purpose is or what might kind of just light you up. So I did that, and that kind of helped, I guess, for me actually to create interior self when I realized I didn't have to choose between my 2 worlds.
Yeah. Because it's really cool that you've managed to be able to cross them over.
Yeah.
Like if you said them just in normal life, you wouldn't really think them careers could overlap. But it's really impressive. It's also really impressive that you've taken something that could be really traumatic about your hair and made it something so positive.
Yeah.
It's huge because that must have taken a lot of strength.
Yeah, and a lot of women, unfortunately, are losing their hair. You know, I'm really grateful now that my hair has grown back. I just decided
looks great,
to
by
keep
the way.
it short because now, you know, I like having short hair.
Yeah.
But it, you know, whether that be acne, whether that be hair loss, weight gain, whatever it is, I think particularly as we get older, you know, it is hard being a woman sometimes, and so it's just like, how can you really have that? You know, I guess the self pillar also relates to self love. You know, what are those thoughts that you have over and over again? Like I imagine the thoughts we probably say repeatedly to ourselves, you would never say to a friend or someone you love, you know. And actually just reminded me of a story that when I think I mentioned earlier, I had really bad acne for a number of years, and I actually had acne for 20 years. And so when I was 33, I went to Peru and I did a plant medicine retreat, ayahuasca and San Pedro. And my acne had cleared for maybe 6 months, but otherwise it was cystic acne all over my face. And so it kind of, whenever I'd get bad skin, it would just send me into a deep depression. Obviously, because it's like your face is, you can't hide. And when I went to the Amazon to this retreat, as soon as I stood foot in the Amazon, all my acne came back, like the worst it's ever been in my life. So obviously, again, that caused the depression. But I just like trusted in a higher purpose. And I was like, okay, it's coming up for a reason because I'm here for it to be healed. This is the time to address the root cause of what your acne is. And so during the plant medicine retreat, I was like holding my face and my skin, and I was like crying and like, in a kind of traumatized state. And I was just like, what is the core root of my acne? I need to know. And the message that came to me was like so simple, was the reason why you have acne is you don't love yourself, and you don't love yourself because you have acne. And then I looked at myself in the mirror and I realized I'd been saying to myself, either consciously or unconsciously, like since I was probably 11, you're ugly, you're a monster, no one's going to love you, you're hideous, you're a creature. And I made like a vow to myself. I was like, I'm never going to speak to myself the same way again. And I left the Amazon and my acne went away and it never came back.
No way.
Yeah.
That is wild.
I know. And it just makes you think, okay, how powerful are our words?
Yeah, it really is crazy. Because like you said, you would never, ever speak to somebody else like that.
No.
And you speak to yourself, you and like all of us speak to yourself so naturally. Like it's so easy and it's scary, really.
Yeah. I think they say we have something like 60,000 thoughts a day. I think Joe Dispenza did a book on it. And like a huge proportion of it, I can't remember, it's like between 80 and 90% of those are the same thoughts you had yesterday. So if you have those same thoughts over and over again, it's no wonder that you're literally manifesting those thoughts into your reality because they are your dominant thoughts.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. Have you seen like the study with that school children did with plants?
No.
So they put like, I don't know if it was a high school or primary school, but they put two plants in a main kind of like thoroughfare. And one plant that the teachers told the students, give that plant hate, tell it you hate it, tell that plant it's ugly, it's useless, And then this plant, you're going to tell it you love it. It's a beautiful plant. Oh, I love your leaves. I love your, And the plant that got hate died.
No way.
Like in a very short period of time. Whereas the one that was given love, like fully thrived and was like, super green and happy.
Wow.
So if you ever start to have that like little nasty devil thought, think of the plant.
Literally, that is unbelievable because you do it so easy and sometimes you don't even realize you're doing it as well. And then it does affect everything. But if I ever heard somebody else saying that to someone or about themselves, I'd be so sad.
I know.
It is amazing. So you're obviously making such a big difference. And how have you found like building that business and that career alongside doing your crazy manic main job?
So I'm very lucky that my boss is very supportive of my business. He's often the first to like some of my Instagram posts and whatever. So I think that has really helped to, I think also make me happy. He knows that if I had to choose, then, I don't know what I would do if I had to choose. But because I don't, it means at the moment I work one day a week during the week and sometimes weekends and evenings on my business Interior Self. And then I work the rest in my design job. But I show up at work feeling more motivated, more inspired. Yeah. And yes, it's, I'm busy, and it is challenging, but I just have to have really good boundaries. Not working late into the evenings anymore, not working weekends. So I'm better boundaried with that. So I can really kind of focus on my Interior Self business to build that into the empire that's slowly unfolding.
It is amazing because you don't always have that. And I think sometimes it can feel like it's a bit awkward to talk about another job because it's like, well, are you preparing to leave? But the fact that your boss knows that you turn up better because of it, like we've had someone else who was building, like they rent out their clothes and have that business. And she was like, it helps me so much in my real job because negotiating, working with people in different ways, like, how to promote something. And it makes you feel almost more confident because you're like, I know what I'm doing in different ways now. And I think that's a really lovely message because I think it can be really scary to bring something up to your boss. Like, I'm building this.
I mean, even next week, in our studio session, they've invited me to present my business, Interior Self.
Wow.
So I've got like a 1 hour talk, for example, that I've done a couple of times. Actually, I did it in Mykonos last year at a event called Workspace Meets. So it's like a workplace design kind of industry event in Mykonos. So it's quite nice.
That is nice.
and I was invited to be a keynote speaker. And I talked about how we are the most important project that we will ever work on, and that we're in the design industry. We work on all these briefs, all these kind of stressful projects. But when was the last time you actually came back to yourself and asked yourself, okay, what do I want to design in my life? And that's what I help others to do now, is to design a life they love from the inside out. And so during the talk, I talked about some of the things that we've talked about today. I talked about my 5 pillars. Oh, I realized I've not talked about the other ones. So the other 3 pillars are sanctuary. So I talked about sanctuary being your nervous system's home. So it can be your body, but it can also be your surroundings, because like I mentioned earlier, if you're surrounded by chaos, then you're naturally going to feel maybe unsettled. So so sanctuary is all about what tools do you have in your toolbox to help manage your stress, your well-being, your sleep, all those things that we really need to kind of help calm the chaos. Then the 4th pillar is health. So health is all encompassing. So that links to whether that be movement, your diet, nutrition, all of those things all together. And then the 5th pillar, which is my favorite, is expression. And so that's like, how can you bring in this creative juiciness that maybe you've lost throughout the years because you're in this kind of corporate job, or you feel stagnant, or you feel bored, or, all the things that, if you think about it as a child, like what did you used to do that used to light you up, that used to kind of bring you fun and like playfulness? And it could be dancing, it could be singing, it could be art, rolling down a hill, like whatever that looks like for you. And for me, it's dance. And so that's kind of something that I could never do. My mum took me out of ballet because she said I was too heavy-footed. But I was that girl that was like, when everyone's doing a routine that way, I was that person going the other way.
Yeah.
But that hasn't stopped me now, because I realized you can still dance without having a routine. So I've actually just retrained as like a wild woman facilitator trainer.
Yes.
So
what does this mean?
What does that mean? Well, I've got my final, done my assessment last week. And I've got one more call tomorrow, and then that's done and I'll be accredited. But basically that looks like holding space for women, but in group setting. Because I think I work one-to-one with women, but I think it's so important that we share the wisdom and the knowledge. And I think we have lost that feeling of community that we all used to have back in the days when we were all tribes. And so, I want to kind of be able to lead women through embodiment practices. So literally like coming back to the body. And that might be through different somatic practices. So practices that help you to slow down, to speed up, to tune into the body, to actually how you're feeling. Could be dance, could be movement, could be shaking, could be screaming, could be like letting out rage. And it can also be like some nice juicy self-touch practices as well that I will help to lead people through. And eventually I want to maybe lead retreats and that kind of thing. So I'm going to launch a group program, I think, in the summer.
That's exciting.
So watch this space.
100%.
So then,
I think that's just so wonderful. It sounds like there's so much that can be built on it. Like it'll be a constantly evolving thing. Is that something that excites you, that you'll just keep learning?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a sucker for education, as you can see.
That's
like
nice.
Always a student, but I've vowed to myself, I'm also doing ecstatic dance facilitator training in Portugal next week. After I've done that, no more training for a while, because I really just want to just integrate what I know, because I've done so many qualifications now. And I just want to build interior self to be, like a genuine framework for living. So I see in the future having an app. I've already started writing my book.
Love.
And I guess just sharing the message also within the design industry. I just think that we work long hours. It can be really stressful. And yes, we get kind of great perks, and we get to kind of, go to Mykonos and do these things. But actually, is it worth it in the end? And so I think like many industries, there's been a real focus on alcohol and like, getting boozed and, doing these late nights. But now there's a real shift into kind of wellness and holistic practices. So, I want to share this message, I guess, in the design and construction industry, to be able to, give these people that are stressed and overwhelmed a framework for living, so they can take the tools from, I guess, my pillars. And as I said before, it's not linear. You don't just have to do it in one go. Maybe it's just like, today I really need to focus on my nervous system. So helping people to, provide maybe a toolkit of practices that maybe they can refer to when they're feeling overwhelmed, for example.
Absolutely. I think it's something that's got a real focus on it in the minute, which I'm really pleased about, but there is so much more that can be done in the corporate world. Whether it be in your corporate job or transitioning over to your self-employed life, like what's been one of the best things in your working life that you've really enjoyed that stays with you?
The best thing in my working life is, I would say, actually practicing what I'm preaching.
Yeah.
And being the embodiment of change. Because even like, I would say like 2 years ago, I just launched Interior Self. I was having a one-to-one with my boss, started crying because again, it was at the end of my study and I felt very overwhelmed, and I was just trying to do everything, like we all are often.
Yeah.
And it was actually him that was the one that suggested maybe you should go 4 days a week. And so I did go 4 days a week. And I'm so grateful for him for saying that. And then, I guess then slowly, like at that point, I was maybe going through perimenopause and crying a lot, and, all these kind of symptoms were coming up. And then when I actually stopped again and listened to my body, it was like a repeat of 2020, but just on like a little micro scale. And I just started listening to my body, tuning into my body, and started to love my life again. And just having like a gratitude practice and to be the embodiment of change, going to dance, doing things that light me up, having the right people around you, I think is also super important.
Yeah.
So like I hate the kind of saying work-life balance, because I think sometimes it's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. And it's different to everybody, right?
Completely.
Yeah.
A lot of people wouldn't want to go to ecstatic dance. They wouldn't want to, that might be their idea of hell.
But
so I just think actually just feeling fully embodied and fully trusting that this is the right path for me because it's lighting me up.
Yeah.
And opportunities just keep kind of unfolding. And I think the opportunities wouldn't come if you're not aligned to what you should be doing.
Absolutely. Definitely. I think practicing what you preach is such a good one, because people are going to learn more, take you more seriously, everything, and they're going to trust you.
That's it.
And that's what you need in what you're doing, because it's very personal.
Yeah. And people can sniff out if you're not authentic.
Yeah.
I think also particularly in social media, like everybody's got a filter, everyone's all like so polished, and and like when I do some Instagram posts, the best engagement I get are the ones that where I've just come out of the shower or the gym and I've got no makeup on and I'm real. And I think that that's what people are seeking, is like social media is unsocial media, really. So it's just like, how can you be raw, authentic? And I really want to build that community of women, build the Interior Self tribe into just like a beautiful community where people can just be their authentic selves and be creatively juicy.
I love
basically what my desire is for everyone.
That sounds perfect. And that was going to be my question. What is the goal? What's the aim? But I feel like you've kind of said.
Yeah, I think that's
just keep building on it.
Yeah.
And keep sending that message and learning. I think that is incredibly important. For anyone that may want to go into this themselves, do you have any advice or any career advice?
Any career advice? Which part? Because I guess there's so much to it.
There really is.
I would say on the health coaching side, really get clear on what kind of health coach you want to be, because there's so many avenues. So there's like functional medicine health coaching, which is I started to do, but it's, you're reading blood work, it's very, very science-based, and that's great for some people. My brain didn't work for that, but I tried on the dress, didn't fit. And so then I kind of moved into the health embodiment coaching, which I really love doing. So I kind of, it's health coaching and body-based practices. So I would just say for those wanting to get into coaching, just really tune into what is it that lights you up? Like what is it that kind of, maybe you love reading blood test results and, recommending supplements and doing diet plans, that type of thing. That's like what a functional health practitioner would do. Whereas I did a much more naturopathic based health coaching diploma, which is food first, which I much prefer. So it's just like looking again, nailing the basics, because I just believe supplements are great, but they're supplementary to your life. They shouldn't be the go-to. It should be, how do you nail the basics with your food and nutrition, your movement, your expression, all the things that I kind of teach through my framework for living through Interior Self.
Love. That was perfect. I feel like this is such a thought-provoking episode. I was literally even just thinking then, like, what lights me up? I feel like I'm going to be thinking about it a lot, which is so nice.
Yeah.
So Thank you so much. That was absolutely wonderful.
Pleasure.
And obviously we'll share everything, and I really want people to see what you're doing.
Thank you. And I'm just interior.self on Instagram. That's where I'm most active, so you can find me there.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.